Hello, in this video you'll learn how to use Humanizer in .NET 10. It essentially allows to convert enums into a more readable thing, numbers, and all kinds of other things. And all you need to do is install Humanizer NuGet package, which will have sort of different extensions and different kinds of setups for different humanized displays. So let's just look at a few examples. We have quite a few here. As usual, the code will be available on Patreon. But let's start with something quite simple. It's all divided in little sections as little examples, but we have some time arrangements. So, for example, we have 3 hours ago, minus 3 hours ago. This will just humanize the time. So it looks better, it's displayed better. Very simple thing, perhaps not even all that useful. We also have time span. It just humanizes certain, time units, essentially. So this will say, let's say 2 days it will write, instead of just writing some random numbers or a simple separation. And then you get precision. So it will skip certain times. If you do 1, it will only show day. We'll do 3, it will skip the hour. It basically just do the hour, essentially. So kind of a simple thing. Again, not perhaps the most useful, but essentially the way you do it, you go here. We have all the setup as an example here. We have Humanizer. We use Localization as well as a bit of a helper, and that's all you need to do it. The next section is actually sort of a bit more exciting here. So we have enumeration, the enums, and they have certain words. So, for example, here we have this enum and we have order status in transit, and of course if we wanted to simply display it, we would need some kind of maybe an if statement, maybe a switch statement, and some Blazor arrangement to say in transit or whatever we want to say, right? So for that particular status. However, that adds a bit more code. It becomes not so clean. So if we actually go to the enum here, very simple arrangement, you can add on every status a description. And if you humanize the status for that particular one, you will display as a text the actual description. So it won't be displayed as a text in transit with no space. It would be displayed as the description that you select. And you can do it for all of them or for some of them, depending on what you actually want. Let's get back to this number 3 here quickly. We have it here. So again, you just use the status, humanize, and then on the sort of non-descripting ones, if you have a bit of casing in the actual property name for the enum, it will essentially split on different words if they are capitalized like this. You can also dehumanize words. Just take a string and it will dehumanize, or rather sort of cast in a way into the order status. So you'll get the order status if you actually have it. It will essentially turn this into this. Again, they do have to match. The best use case really is for using that description and going with that. We have a few sort of more use cases. We can pluralize, and again, once you add that humanizer, you get all these extensions on strings and other different objects. This pluralize, not perhaps the most useful use case. There are a few other things, but again, that description is certainly something you can use, and something that can become quite useful, especially if you have like a Blazor application and you have your encoded things. Perhaps in Postgres database, you can watch some of the previous videos on the channel here about that, how you can actually store a whole enum as definition of an enum, not just manually converting it into integers and storing that into the database. So you add that, you add this, and you have a very sort of clean and straightforward approach without having to convert your enums to integers. Again, all this stuff, once you have a library, it is available, so why not use it? Again, that feature certainly wins. And then we can truncate. Truncating is quite useful. If you have some description, perhaps you have a blog article, you have your names, titles, so you have your descriptions, you can only display so much of it, right? So you can truncate, and you don't need to write some additional library for it, or additional sort of logic for it in your Blazor app, so you can just do this. Or if you have an app especially, that might be useful. So you truncate it, and again, it's very straightforward. You just have a string and you say how many letters you want to truncate, and you have your result. And there's a few other options. You can do fixed number of words or just characters. So if you want to leave always words, you can do that. You can either leave words or not words, so that would be fixed length. These will be full words, so you only truncate on actual words, and this will just do it on characters. So however many characters, it will cut off, and it will add a little dotty expression at the end. To do that. There's also byte sizes, probably again not the most useful, but if you have some file uploads, some limits, this can be quite useful, especially if you have sort of a bit of a variation. You can turn to megabytes, kilobytes, do all those conversions quite easily. And of course, just the usual two-string expression with a bit of a helper can help as well. Although, is it exactly a humanizer part? Not really. And there are some cultural, grammatical things. This is not something that would be sort of overly recommended to be used. It seems to work in general, but it can sort of cause problems if you don't actually verify what it's actually converting. So for non-dynamic things, perhaps it might be useful, but if it is dynamic, it changes all the time, maybe not the best. Another interesting thing, you can convert dates. So for a nice display in numeric numbers for years, for example, you can do from Roman, and you can do to metric. So probably this one would be more interesting. You can turn it to metric expression, and you can do from Roman to metric expressions as well. So you can go back and forth with that. Again, for year displays, perhaps make it a bit more exciting for some dashboard. Might be useful, although never do too much and for very important things, because let's be honest, not everyone can actually read it, and as nice as it looks, sometimes it can cause a few troubles. And there's localization as well. Localization isn't exactly a humanizer thing, but you can humanize with culture info. It does have that all predefined, so you can just use Humanizer with the default globalization setup in C#. Again, this is all in .NET 10. It's all very current, and it's all available for free to use. So take a look at that, at the example. It's quite interesting. Again, don't overuse it. Sometimes you don't need the humanizer, right? Sometimes it's better to just show the raw data. But again, for something like the enums on categories, on statuses, and things like that, it can be useful. And do watch the Postgres SQL arrangement. You can actually store everything in database as an enum, sort of custom, essentially column definition there. Take a look at those videos. It's quite interesting how you can do that. And if you want nicer dashboards, quicker dashboards on Blazor, take a look at our Mud Blazor videos. There's some interesting stuff available. You can get started. There's some sort of more advanced stuff as well. And with that said, we will conclude this video.